Oh man, this is big problem. This is problem land. We're in problem town. Thanks, Janeway. Thanks a lot, Janeway. We're in problem town. You lose the protostar, you lose the Infinity, and then you lose it again. That's 3 strikes. Are you sure this is safe? He's not going to eat us, right? Uh-oh. Welcome to Observer's Paradox and Imposter Syndrome, not Imposter Paradox and Observer Syndrome. Don't get it twisted. This is Prodigy, Season 2, Episodes 5 and 6. We're like a quarter of the way through or something like that, and this is really hurting my soul. Or soul, mind. Where's your soul? I don't know. But it's really paining. It hurts right now. Because every time I review an episode, I can't just immediately go to the next one. I wish they weren't just dropping them all at once. It hurts. Maybe not for you. But for me, I gotta hold off to make, a semblance of normalcy for these reviews. If I reviewed each episode individually after having seen the whole season, it would be fake. That wouldn't be real reviews. Because, alas, an episode is watched, and then you wait for the next one. That's just how it's supposed to go. We're not supposed to have it all at once. So we're going to start off with, Observer's Paradox? And I'm not sure exactly what that means outside of observer effect. I know what that is. Quantum shenanigans and all that. The Q word. No, I'm not talking about Q. I'm talking about quantum. The thing you say when you want something to sound smart or confusing. Like in Voyager. The Technobabble show, where in Voyager, when things get hairy, Technobabble saves the day. And we're in danger of that here, because this kind of is Voyager, is it not? A mysterious, ethereal Voyager Season 8. That's not a complaint. Let's see what's going on with this episode. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is like a Murf episode. I can't believe we got a Murf episode. This is sweetened condensed Murf in a can, and also a microcosm of the entirety of EMH, Emergency Medical Hologram, condensed down into one episode just to sell you on that idea. This is pure distilled Doctor from Voyager, and like I said, sweetened condensed Murf. Oh my gosh. I feel like an idiot. I feel like I'm watching this episode, and Murf is on screen. I'm just thinking, this is a 10 out of 10. And then I have to come back down to reality and say, okay, no, what's really going on with this episode? I can't just love it because of Murf. People will think I'm crazy. The little blue guy? That's why you like this? Maybe. But I do think at the heart of it, there's something else going on with this episode. This episode isn't just dangling Murf in front of me to get me to enjoy it. There's something at the core here. There's an idea, as with the past 2 episodes, it's not that clear. But to me, it kind of plays into the grander themes of Prodigy so far. And indeed, what I thought was the main theme of Season 1, that being communication. In Season 1, the loss of communication, and now we're gaining it. What does that mean? Murf speaks like this. So what's Murf saying? For the first time, we really need to understand what Murf's saying. So we need to communicate. At the beginning of this episode, though, we're at the debrief. Remember that thing we did the last 2 episodes where we stole the Infinity and caused a lot of problems and admittedly kind of fixed them by causing another offshoot problem that's hard to understand and is very dangerous? Uh-oh, yeah, you guys are in trouble. Restricted access. Debrief right now. So we see Dal say what you think Dal would say. Gwyn says what you think Gwyn would say. Blah, 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 blah. Really, Zero is the one I would listen to. Zero seems the wisest here. I would trust Zero to deliver the truth in a way that I could easily understand. Zero, what happened? Well, we stole the Infinity. We saved Chakotay, but Chakotay escaped on the Protostar, hurting time, and then we came back. Sorry. Better to, steal it and then ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. I think that's something that Dal says. Are you Captain Material anymore, Dal? I don't know. We don't need any more cowboys out here. Like Kirk or Janeway. If you've seen Voyager. what I'm kind of what I'm getting at here. It's easy to be a saint in paradise, and if you're stuck way out in the Delta Quadrant, sometimes you gotta, crack a few eggs to make a few omelets without spoiling the entirety of Voyager, or maybe I just spoiled the entire broad strokes of Voyager for you just by saying that. I don't know. What are we gonna do about Murf? We're at lunch, we're eating our food, and you can see Murf stealing food. Murf was also doing, like, what is it called? Charades? That thing where you do different motions like this, and people are like, whoa, what's he saying? What does it mean? Pencil? Watermelon? I don't know. But Murf's doing it, and it's all extremely cute. Murf steals their food and creates a diagram on the floor. The mysterious entity, our mysterious benefactor from the last 2 episodes, that person who was ringing us up on the ship, giving us a ding, who I thought was Chakotay. Maybe I'm right. It's looking like I'm right, but regardless, there's a spiral diagram on the floor. And Murf creates this sort of food and utensils and things like that. And what does this mean? Clearly, we need to figure this out. It would be helpful if we could understand Murf. So we get to work on modifying our comm badge. Jankom is such a good engineer. We can modify the comm badge to listen in on an alien who we don't know what the heck they're saying. They're just kind of speaking gibberish. Is it even language? I don't know. But Jankom seems to think so, and we can modify the badge to hear Murf. But I knew this was a fake out. I knew this wasn't going to work. I knew this was there for jokes. I knew they were just japing here. I knew they were just joshing. They fix it. Fix the comm badge. And Murf just says, like, hullabaloo, Saturday. How can you not have fun? How can you? This episode wrote itself, I think. Meanwhile, we're trying to dodge the EMH, who, Zero gets stuck with, walking with the EMH around and listening to his, beguiling tales about holo novels he's writing, right? A love triangle between 2 holograms of the same person. I would have listened to the whole thing. It was so good. This was like top form EMH, if a little bit on the nose, if a little bit obvious. To bring it up again, Strange New Worlds, those old scientists, how it kind of felt like the lower decks section of that episode of Strange New Worlds was supercharged lower decks. Like it was representative of an extreme form of lower decks. In that same way, I'm feeling that this is like an extreme form of the Doctor. It's like we're going to have the Doctor for this little section here, so let's wind up the pressure a lot. And that's kind of what was going on with the Doctor here. So Doctor, ramped up to 11. Very, very funny. And I really, really loved it. Zero walked around. I'll distract the Doctor while you guys try to figure out what's going on with Murf, because we're on restricted access. We're not supposed to be together. We're breaking the rules. I'm getting a little bit tired of that. I was hoping this season would go in the direction of, okay, Starfleet itself and these kids are now rowing the boat in the same direction. Now we're not, like, fighting, right? I was hoping for, like, okay, official, not like, oh, let's steal a ship again, blah, 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 and you'll see where that goes later. But I'm getting tired of these kids breaking the law. Breaking the law, na 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 na. You know the song, don't you? Tired of it. Let's stay focused. Let's listen to Rok. Rok is right on this. It's not a good idea to keep jeopardizing our future in Starfleet. Maybe for one of these characters, or all of them, it's gonna not pay off, and we're gonna have a downer ending for this season. But somehow I doubt it. We need Rok's help on this. La 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 la, I don't hear you. Rok doesn't want to be involved. But Rok is the one who's going to understand Murf. If anyone's going to understand Murf, it's going to be Rok. So Rok has this bright idea. And this is where the theme of this episode comes into play. We're going to put Murf in the dunk tank with the whale, Jillian. I think that's what it was called. Sometimes certain animals, their speech can't be understood well unless they're underwater or in a different atmosphere. And we don't know where Murf is from, so maybe Murf needs to be underwater. Oh, and Rok goes down with Murf. Oh my gosh. Murf is scared. So Rok says, I don't like water either. Don't worry, I'll go down with you. And Rok, well, sinks like a rock right to the bottom holding Murf. And Murf just does a little hug. And then leave. Oh, God. I'm sorry. This is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Murf hugs Rok and then floats away into the water, and I was so scared. Oh no, this is it. This is Murf's new form. It sucks. Murf turns into like a dolphin creature that gets fins and all that. I was like, oh, don't be the new Murf. I love the little humanoid Murf so much. It's my favorite. My favorite character is the little 2-leg, 2-arm Murf. Oh my gosh. But that's not what happens. Murf indeed later turns back into normal Murf, as normal as that can be. But Murf is able to communicate with the whale. So I guess Murf's gibberish needs to be filtered through water for the whale to understand it. And we are talking to the whale, I don't know, psychically, technologically. There's a readout on our panel, and we're hearing like what they're saying. And this is interesting because if you go really far back into Star Trek, and you would know that originally, by the time we got to Star Trek Next Generation, we would have cetacean ops, or whales, as it were, navigating the ship. I think it was navigating too. And Troy, I believe, was originally supposed to be a psychic so that she could talk to the whales. So she was like the whale handler. And this would kind of like tie into the voyage home, right? I think that's how it was supposed to be. And I had whale-shaped stickers for Star Trek Next Generation a long, long time ago. That's a while ago. Way after anybody knew anything about whales being involved with this. Like, they didn't really think it never really took off that way, but I had a blue whale-shaped sticker that said Star Trek Next Generation in the middle. If you know what that was from, I don't know, but I always wondered why it was a whale, and I figured out way later they were going to have cetacean ops, and it's been brought back into canon recently with Lower Decks and now with Prodigy. So yeah, what's interesting about that is what originally the idea was we would need someone that could communicate with the whales. I don't know if they knew this when they were working on this episode, but it's really cool that now, I mean, they knew about the whales, but now the communication idea that they keyed into, we needed someone to communicate with the whales. Now we need the whale to communicate with someone else. It's like we're advancing that theme forward. So now the thing we need to communicate with has become the communicator. Like, I don't know if they knew that angle of it, but when I caught on to it, I was like, oh, that's right. We're communicating, we're translating, we're talking to strange new aliens, right? Murf being one of them. It's like, wow, this is really incredible. There's really something here. This is more than just a joke episode with Murf. So it says letters out of order, and the whale is saying this in the whale voice, DEFNI. A computerized voice. And Dal says, oh, Findy me. No, find me. Of course he says, Findy me. Fin, because the whale has fins. Am I right? I don't know if that's funny. But we have, not coordinates, a sequence of numbers, and find me. Gwyn has the bright idea to say, oh, my little timey-wimey device that keeps me instated in the time I'm in, I could change the frequency to those numbers, find me, and then change this little dial here. That's not dangerous. It's probably very dangerous to do this, but we can't consult anyone because what we're doing is against the rules. That's the problem when you're breaking the rules, is that you can't really ask for help. Even though Janeway doesn't want to lose Chakotay, I have this suspicion that Catherine might be willing to overlook some rules here and there if it means saving Chakotay. I'm honestly beginning to wonder if Dal just on the down low said, listen, Janeway, we're going to save Chakotay. Can we just have the Infinity? I'm having a weird spine tingly feeling that Janeway might just let them do it. And maybe that's why it's been so easy for them to steal the Infinity now, as they do again later, but I won't get into that now. Very strange. Gwyn goes on a strange time journey through, I don't want to call it a wormhole, but she's being displaced in time. She sees a spiral-looking galaxy. That spiral thing, it's a map, that symbol that Murf put on the floor, that Murf probably learned from Chakotay. They find out through research on computers. And by the way, don't worry about security. No one knew what they were looking up on the computer. They looked up the fact that Chakotay belonged to a tribe that had this symbol in their repertoire. Oh my gosh, it's Chakotay, of course. It's obvious. Or it's a fake out. It might be, I don't know. Gwyn goes on this adventure with this cool sounding music, very techno, kind of synth, otherworldly, spacey music. Learns, find me before they find me. And she just disappears. Clearly this is Chakotay, I guess. And this is a map. That's kind of how our episode ends. That's our A plot. Our B plot, not a lot of plot, but a lot of emotion. You see, from Janeway's point of view in our B plot, we just got a message from Jellicoe that we're stopping this whole thing. We almost lost the Infinity. We got so close to another protostar disaster. This is over. This is bigger than Chakotay. Jellicoe was right. And Janeway unfortunately agrees. They're closing the wormhole. This is bad for our friends who might need to go back into the wormhole. Bad for Janeway because she's losing Chakotay. Or is she? We don't know. That anomaly, could it have been Chakotay? Her and Tysus and I think Noom are looking at the Infinity. They turned it into a time machine. How did they do this? How did children do this? They look at the diagram and they say, were they getting help from the mysterious entity? Janeway kind of puts it together. Could that entity be Chakotay somehow? I don't know. We don't know. We're not sure about this whole thing. Time is funny like that when you start messing with it. So they do shoot their, a chronoton torpedo, something like that, into this wormhole. They're going to shut it down. They're going to close this wormhole by detonating it. And this is terrible. And we have a sad bridge moment where we need to do something sad when necessary. And we all look at each other. You know the one. And she walks off, goes to her ready room, and looks at various artifacts. And the Voyager music is swelling. Oh my god, we're throwing away Chakotay. And she looks at a little rock on the table, and the rock has the exact symbol that Murf put on the ground. All but confirming that, yeah, Chakotay is waiting to be saved. He's there. That's a symbol from Chakotay. Janeway didn't get the memo. She looks at the rock and has a flashback to Chakotay giving her this stone with this spiral symbol. And it says, we'll call it like a beacon to guide me home. Oh, man. I said big on emotion, and this one hurt me a little bit. This one was a rough watch. When I was watching, I was like, oh no, this is... My poor little heart can't take much more. We got the high heights of Murf and Co. In shenanigans, camaraderie, fun, cockamamie, and then we're going down to the valley of heartstring pulling. There's only so much I can take, okay? But that was Observer's Paradox. A wonderful time, light on plot, light on theme. It's a diet episode. We'll call this Prodigy Light. It's diet. Refreshing. That's what this episode was. But this is a 2-episode review. And don't worry, people might be saying, or you might be thinking and haven't commented yet, it's kind of fake and not real for you to be reviewing these episodes and putting them together and giving them one score. Don't worry, I've come up with something. When this is over, I'm going to assign a numerical value to each individual episode in a community post or something. So we're getting the best of both worlds here. Did you hear that? The best of both worlds. Anyway, here comes imposter syndrome. A very one-note, boring, cockamamie episode. This episode involves creating lots and lots of holograms that are very, 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 very realistic. Uh-oh. We kind of just create a bunch of Moriartys, if you've seen Star Trek Next Generation. Way back in the day, we created a hologram program for Data that would challenge Data. Data's an android. Very hard to beat an android at his own game. So let's create an artificial intelligence that can even beat Data. And we're going to have him go up against him in the holosuite. That surely that can't go wrong. They create a Sherlock Holmes mystery that can rival Data, inadvertently creating a hologram that is so smart. It isn't just a hologram, it's kind of like its own person. There's a trip down memory lane for you. We do go on trips down memory lane this episode because we do go to a hologram representation of the protostar, but that's beside the point. We're trying to look like we're doing our work. We're just here doing blah, 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 laughing, having fun. No need to worry about us, EMH. Although this episode begins with a total fake-out. I've seen this so many times now. It's a Lower Decks classic, but here it is in Prodigy. The intro that doesn't make any sense. This episode starts with Dal running away from the other characters, threatening to kill him, with weapons no less. And I knew this was just a joke. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 250 times, though. Shame on me, or as I would say, no, shame on you. You've done it 250 some times. That's enough. I'm tired of these fake-out intros. As we learn in a moment, that intro is fake because those characters were just holograms. Like I said before, how are we going to be in two places at once? We need to steal the Infinity, not tell Janeway. Rok, obviously, though, has the obvious answer. Why don't we just tell them? We'll ask them for help. Maybe they will help. If we're nice, maybe we'll get to go on the mission, too. I'm very much on the side of Rok here. Let's just follow the rules. But no. Jankom has the idea to create holograms of them so they can sneak onto the Infinity, fly it away before it's destroyed, and yada yada yada. They won't know the difference. I think they're going to know the difference, and this looks like, it looks like the beginning of a very, very bad but funny journey. That's how I would categorize this, and you'll know by the way it ends that I'm probably right on this. Rok says, we have to make these absolutely perfect. Jankom's original model of these holograms isn't perfect. They glitch up. They can't touch things. And as soon as Rok said these need to be, indistinguishable, I said, no. Oh, no. This is a nightmare. Here we go. We're creating a bunch of Moriartys that can leave the holodeck and cause untold damage. Do you want another exact copy of yourself running around that thinks it's you? Accurate down to the last detail? I don't think so, but that's what we do. And they do indeed get out of the holodeck from whence they were born. They get out, and they need to be alive for a certain amount of time in order to calibrate. The first in a laundry list of many contrivances that kind of hurt this episode. How do we keep the holograms around for a long time for big funny? Well, they need to calibrate. Contrivance number 1. So they run around. We have to catch them, cram them back into the holodeck. This is a big problem. Rok forces the door open. Very cool. How are we going to tell them apart? How are we going to catch our own holograms? Do you know you're you? Are you sure? Are you sure the only you is you? How do you know? They think they're you too. You see the problem here, which is, why you shouldn't be creating holodoubles of people, or indeed yourself. We have to catch them running around the ship. Funnies ensue. Dr. Newham catches a hologram, or was it a hologram? Many ominous scenes here showing characters glitch out for a second, and our other characters thinking they're real, and we know the difference. Dr. Newham sees hologram Jankom, takes his milkshake, drinks the milkshake, walks away. Oh, I need a bubble bath. And goes into the holosuite or something to create a bubble bath with extra bubbles. You'll see why this is funny later. We need to figure out a way to catch these hologram doubles of ourselves. Our initial plan is to, everybody catch yourselves. So hologram Dal will catch or Dal will catch hologram Dal. Even I'm confused. This episode is created very much to intentionally confuse the viewer. You're along for the ride with them. This is like a screenplay that's designed to be misleading. Watching this, you shouldn't really even know who's real and who's fake. If that bothers you or confuses you, you're going to hate this episode. I decided to just kind of go along for the ride. I had a fun time. All of the episode was, like I said, one note. And almost pointless. This feels like the kind of technobabble excuse for how to get the characters off the Voyager, but yet stay on Voyager so they think they're not gone, that they would have come up with normally in the last 10 minutes, but instead they've kind of blown it out into the whole episode, for better or for worse. Turns out it was for worse, because we do eventually find our holograms. We cram them back into the holodeck, because Rok-Tahk, working together with Rok-Tahk, let's work together on this. They put their heads together, and none of them are saying like, man, I hope I'm not fake. There's a darkness to this. You know, there's a darkness, there's a dichotomy with the light, fun tone we're portraying in this episode. And then there's this dark reality underneath the surface that might freak out kids a little bit, that these holograms think they're people, and we have to turn them off. And there is a moment where the Rok-Tahks come up with this plan to, okay, we're going to turn off, we're going to like overload the ship-wide hologram system momentarily so that they kind of flicker away. Right. This inadvertently turns off the holodeck that Noom was in, and he falls out of his bath or whatever, holding a book, and the book lands on his face. Haha. Noom looks like a character who could be fun to pick on. He reminds me of McCoy, actually. He's a bit of a curmudgeon. I like that. And the EMH, by chance, thank you, the EMH doesn't turn off at a very, very critical medical moment. He just turns off in the middle of some procedure that's not, like, you know, life serious. Or this could have been very, very, very bad. But thankfully that doesn't happen. The EMH just kind of pops out of existence for a moment. Oh, it's just some glitch. Not to worry. Yes, to worry. Just some glitch can turn off the EMH. Hopefully this wasn't very serious, and hopefully he has a lot of assistants there who are, you know, physically real, as he did back in the day. But Zero's supposed to be helping him. But Zero isn't right now. Zero's gone. Involved in, slapstick. Nasty stealing of things. Breaking the rules. Thank you, Dal and co. Great. I feel like the more time goes on, the more I feel like Rock. The more I'm kind of like veering into Rok-Tahk land. Maybe you feel the same. I don't know. Feel free to yell at me. But we do turn off our holograms. But it is sad, you know. This idea of... And it kind of plays into the past episode, too. The one we just looked at. Throwing away your friends voluntarily. Janeway is, in a sense, giving up on Chakotay. They're closing the wormhole. Very sad. But we're allowing Gwyn to disappear. Dal holds Gwyn's hand, right? Like, they hold each other's hands. They're sad. They don't want to go. These holograms are turning off. And you can see, I don't know whose hand disappeared, if it was Dal or if it was Gwyn, but one of them was the hologram. And I was like, oh, yeah, someone just disappeared. Isn't that terrible? We're throwing people away. I really have to grasp at straws here to figure out what's thematically going on, because this episode is a bit of a confuser, and it doesn't really play that well on its own. It plays a little bit better with the last one, for reasons I just laid out thematically. It's just not really hitting. Like I said, I basically covered the whole plot. Slapstick comedy ensues with hologram versions of ourselves getting into all kinds of wacky and zany situations. But at the very, very, very end, Ticey has announced to our crew that we're actually destroying the Infinity. It's breaking 3 different Federation laws. We're throwing it into a class, what is it, B, giant star. I can't remember what he said exactly. Dal says, why don't you just cloak it? right? Like, it has a cloak. If we cloak it forever, it'll be gone. Tyseus thinks this is funny. He has a big laugh out of it. I do love this character. But they are throwing it into the giant star, you know? It could have been a star. Was it a blue star or a gas giant? No, it was a star. I think it was blue. It was a blue star. That should destroy it. Nice. Bye-bye, Infinity. But our crew needs to get on the Infinity. They need to steal it again to go save Chakotay. We have the map. Gwyn knows the map because she used the coordinates on her phase discriminator to get some kind of weird psychic message from the other side, probably from Chakotay. That spiral thing, it was a map. Thanks, Murf. But we need to get on the Infinity. And just like back in Strange New Worlds, remember when... Was this Strange New Worlds we did this? No, I was confused because I thought... Yeah, it was the same Enterprise from Strange New Worlds, but back in Discovery Season 5, the ISS Enterprise, which was the Strange New Worlds version of the Enterprise, launched... All the pods were gone. It was empty. There was nothing to launch. But at the very end, Locke and Maul escape on an emergency medical pod thing that came out of nowhere at the last minute. Great. But so just like that, we managed to disguise an emergency medical transportation so that we could sneak onto the Infinity before it's destroyed. Thanks, show. It's just contrivance number 2. How do we get the kids onto the Infinity now? We created the holograms. They're laugh it up. They're perfect now. They're calibrated. They're wandering around the ship. They're perfect now. They think we're still on the ship. How do we get onto the Infinity? I know. We're kind of like we're going to create a spoof emergency medical transport. They won't notice. They're not going to check the logs to see who's going in and out. They're not going to know immediately that it's us. Ugh. This is a little bit much for me. I don't know. And it would be different if we were telling a very, very interesting, compelling story with meaningful themes and, character development and stuff like that. But I just didn't think we really got it here. The contrivances were too much for what we were getting out. The juice was not worth the squeeze on this episode. Just to, get the bottom line up front for you here. We do get into the Infinity. They do launch it into that star. They think, bye-bye. This is the second time we're saying goodbye here. We're saying goodbye to Chakotay. We're collapsing the wormhole. And now we're throwing away the Infinity. This is just the 2 goodbye episodes, which I guess is why they play together better than you would otherwise suspect upon watching the 2 of them in sequence. We're saying goodbye, but our characters are saying hello to the Infinity. They get on, and I suppose we're out of the range of the Voyager. We're good to go now. And they fly away, and I guess the Voyager has no way to detect a cloaked ship that it had birthed previously. Like, they have no secret kind of back-channel way to detect it, which would be helpful, but they don't. And now the Infinity is off scot-free. The Voyager thinks it's gone. Our characters are on their adventure on the Infinity that I thought they were going on as soon as the season started. No, we had a false start, and now we're at the real start, I guess, on that ship that I just hate. Ugh, the Infinity is ugly. But our characters are on it. Maj'el, sadly, is back on the Voyager. And our Voyager characters, the characters on the Voyager, that would be Dal, Gwyn, Rok-Tahk, Murf, Zero. They're back on the ship in hologram form. We did it, guys. Wrong. They don't know, but we know. We saw the scene. They walk out of their little room there, and their personalities are switched. Like, Dal sounds like Zero, and Gwyn sounds like Rok. I don't believe that's the exact, the exact transformations that were on display. But you get the picture that our characters are not the way they're supposed to be, and now everybody on the Voyager is going to think there's something maybe medically desperately wrong with their characters. Uh-oh, Catherine, why don't you check the transporter logs? Can you detect who was in that transporter beam? Oh no, our characters left, and now they're replaced by these fakes. And then the EMH is just going to say, let's turn off the holograms for a second. And boop, they'll figure it out. They're not stupid. Or maybe they are, I don't know. But, like I said before, methinks Catherine Janeway is thinking maybe these kids can save Chakotay. Maybe I should just let them do it. We're supposed to destroy the Infinity anyway. Or that's the one devil on her shoulder, but the angel on her shoulder, you know, the classic scene is saying, Jellicoe just told us to destroy the Infinity, and now these kids have the Infinity, and they're going to cause all kind of time problems, and it's my fault. This is the end of the world. And that's true. That's the truth. Janeway just let the kids get away with the time machine, the cloaks. I would not be surprised if Jellicoe told them, okay, shoot down the Infinity now. You have to actually shoot at the Infinity with these kids on it. I would not be surprised if Starfleet says, we have to do this now. This is so bad that it could destroy the Federation. You mean that these untrained kids have stolen a cloaked time machine? Oh man, this is big problem. This is problem land. We're in Problem Town. Thanks, Janeway. Thanks a lot, Janeway. We're in Problem Town. You lose the Protostar, you lose the Infinity, and then you lose it again. That's 3 strikes. Although it wasn't really you that lost the Protostar, but you inadvertently lost it again. Because you weren't supposed to have Chakotay be on the Protostar in the past, or in the future. You know what I'm saying. Thanks a lot, guys. You've really caused a big problem here. And you may have, thrown away your careers in Starfleet. This is really, really bad. It's one thing to cause a problem and fix it. It's another thing to now cause another problem again in the same way. And, call me skeptical, but I'm no longer super confident in Dal. I'm losing my confidence in these characters. Maybe even Rok. Maybe it's time for Rok to just get off that boat. Let's not rock the boat, Rok, and let's just go back onto the Voyager and keep our head down. We'll keep our nose to the grindstone, as it were. That's just how I'm feeling about these things for this very one-note episode. If you want to see characters get involved in all kinds of slapstick shenanigans with their own clone, hologram clone that is, this is your episode. But if you want more than that, if you want something to chew on, if you want something to think about, if you want meaningful kind of developments to the plot that otherwise couldn't be solved by, what's one more contrivance? Just invent the holograms in the last 5 minutes. It's just another contrivance. How much worse is one more? They could have just had the episode be about something else entirely, and then come up with the holograms at the last second. It's a contrivance that they need to be calibrated to stay around. It's a contrivance that we can hide our transportation signal as a medical transport thing. What's one more? Just come up with it at the last second and have the episode be about something. That's just my feeling. So the second episode in this episode duology that we're reviewing here really drags it down. First we had, Observer's Paradox, and now Imposter Syndrome. One's much better, one's much worse. So what happens when you add good to bad? If I'm fair, you just get normal, and that's kind of sad. But like I said, when this is all said and done, we're going to have a numerical value for each individual episodes here. And this one's going to be getting its, just desserts. For episodes 5 and 6 of Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, musically, like you had a very interesting kind of synthetic chirping musical score creep in when Gwyn went on that weird timey-wimey adventure. That was very cool. The Voyager theme again swelling up at just the right moments, and kind of a frumpy, funny, shambling tune when Jankom first shows off his hologram version that I thought was pretty cool. It's they speak to the moment that they're in, and access and amplify the themes that were already there. So we're successful on the music front. Visually, I don't want to look at this new Voyager. We didn't get to really see any new planets. We didn't see any new ships. These are more or less bottle episodes. Building a ship in a bottle, as was done with Voyager at one point, I believe, the Intrepid class. When we have a bottle episode, that means your entire episode is kind of just confined to the corridors of the ship, and the interior of this ship is not ugly. As in keeping with Voyager. I didn't think the interior of Voyager itself, that would be the original Voyager, was very good either. So it's perfectly on brand. Ugly episode, good sounding thematically. Very weak in the second one, a little bit stronger in the first one. As with episodes 3 and 4, I gotta dig to find it. If you gotta dig too much, that's bad. If it's too on the nose, that's bad. You want a sweet spot, and this was a little bit of a sour spot. I'm sad to say. Plot-wise, necessary developments are made, but at what cost? Wandering around the ship, playing around with holograms that loses its fun in the first few seconds, and a lot more fun and meaningful interactions between our characters in the first part, especially between Murf and the whale. Very cool. With all that out of the way, like I said before, when you have good and you add bad, you throw them in a pot, you mix them together, what you just get is normal. That's why this episode is getting a 5, even though I really like the first part. Like I said, wait till this is over for numerical values for each individual episode. What can I say? Next episode, we're probably going to go rescue Chakotay. We're going to go find Chakotay. That spiral thing was a map. It was a beacon home. It was a rock. It's a map. It's everything. It's the key to everything. Why did Chakotay trust this with Murf? I hope to find that out soon. Maybe Murf is also Chakotay's favorite character, as he is mine. I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'm going to see you next time I see you. Signing out. Yeah.